Joining us now from Milwaukee, the Hall of Famer who'll be working with Fox on the National League Championship Series. Let's say hello to John Smoltz. Good morning, John. How are you?
Good morning, Dan. I'm doing great.
Yeah, well, it's good to have you on. How's morale in Milwaukee? What's the feeling you get out on the street there, John?
Gloves and a hat. It's really cold. That's the feeling I got because it was 40 degrees difference from Atlanta to Milwaukee. But, I think everything here, for the first time, you're going to see a weekend where maybe the Packers are second fiddle to the Milwaukee Brewers at this time of the year, and that hasn't happened in a long time.
Who do you expect to win this series?
I think what people expect, usually this time of year doesn't always happen, but it would be the Dodgers just from the standpoint of what they did last year and where they are now with their roster and the changes they've made. But, what makes baseball so unique is that storylines or markets, people assume, because you're in a certain region of the country. I think the Brewers have something pretty special going with 11 in a row. Timing is everything. The way that they've gone about it. I think this series has the makings of if you're a strategy guru, if you like to see moves and certain things that counteract the strengths of another team, then you're going to like this series as far as how many guys are going to play for Milwaukee. As far as pitchers go, there's going to be a lot of pitchers.
What's your big concern with the Dodgers?
I think the concern would be that if it got into a bullpen matchup game, I think for the first time, Milwaukee has a better bullpen. And the Dodgers last year, had a really good bullpen that they went to a lot. This year, I think you're going to see the starters be like they were down the stretch, more counted on, and more innings pitched. I've always maintained, this might be the exception this year. I've always said that the team that can utilize their starters more in the long run has a better chance to win it all. But what Milwaukee did in the short series, winning 3 games, they were able to have that formula proved successful. So if they can continue to do that and win in a short series and not have series drag on, then I think they got a great chance of beating the Dodgers. The Dodgers lineup is relentless. Their bench is as good as anybody, so they can mix and match. It's just a matter of how does Dave Roberts stay patient and not right away when, they make a lot of changes and go to the bullpen. It's got to pick and choose where he's going to use guys off the bench.
Clayton Kershaw's regular season ERA is the lowest among pitchers with at least 200 starts since 1920. His 4-point career postseason ERA is the second highest among those with at least 15 starts, second only to CC Sabathia. Did you see anything in his last start that would kind of put your fears to rest if you're a Dodger fan of what you expect from Clayton Kershaw, who does pitch well at Miller Park?
Yeah, the perception, of course, has been he had those 4 kind of crazy games. I think 3 of them against St. Louis and then last year's game against the Astros that might stick out. But the Dodgers have won 10 of his last 11 or 10 of his last 12 postseason starts. So to me, that speaks to how he has adjusted. And last game, he showed that he can pitch without 95. He only struck out 1 guy, which is like one of the first times in a long time that he's ever done that, if ever. And I think in this series, knowing that he has been rested and that he has been taken care of as he doesn't have to be the bulldog all year. Look, his mindset's still give me the ball and I'm the best pitcher in the universe. That's what you got to have. But the team has recognized that, the depth of their rotation allows them to not have to have Kershaw come on 3 days rest like he did a lot of times in those past postseasons. So I maintain that's in the rearview mirror for him. And statistically, I think you'll see that come down and be more reflective of his regular season.
Fox Sports opens its coverage of the National League Championship Series between the Dodgers Brewers tonight from Miller Park. Pre-game will be at 7 Eastern on Fox Sports 1. Game coverage at 8 Eastern on Fox Sports 1. Joe Buck John and Ken Rosenthal, Tom Verducci will be there on the call. Game 2 from Milwaukee airs Saturday afternoon at 4 live on Fox Network. How do you not let ego factor in when you're on the mound?
It can be hard, especially when you start thinking about, let's just say, last series. What? Kershaw didn't start game 1? There are things that in this game that when you have a reputation or when you are the best pitcher in baseball for the last 10, 11 years and guys in your club, stuff is starting to be a little bit better or viewed better. Look, to me, I think what Clayton represents is everything you want a player to represent. So at times, an organization may have to have conversations or communications with your star player. But the ego on the mound has got to be there in the ability to think that you are better than anybody that steps in the plate. But you can't allow it to have such a chip on your shoulder, and that's easier said than done when you may be passed over or somebody else might be the hotter pitcher at the time. And that's just a unique situation that the Dodgers have. They have so many good pitchers that they get to line it up the way they get to line it up.
Christian Yelich is 9 for 17 against Kershaw, so he's batting .529. There were certain guys that had your number. Do you change anything because of that success that they have against you?
Yeah, I think, you treat, if it were a regular season, you look at this, certainly they're going to look at all the video. He's going to look at everything. He's going to look at things that he did in the past that he didn't like and make certain adjustments. But the postseason is always a different animal. But traditionally, the first thing you're going to do is look to something different. You want to show the hitter something different. You want to be able to make the necessary adjustment. But the biggest thing is it is a different stage. So this will be the first time they face each other in the postseason, and that in and of itself resets the clock. But as soon as he gets a hit, your memory starts kicking back in, and you start getting frustrated because of the past success. And it's not really a small sample size, so that's why you have to make changes and as a pitcher. And then vice versa, if you've had a lot of success, you don't really want to make a lot of changes. You want to see what the hitter's going to do first. So I love and miss the cat and mouse games, especially in the postseason, because you're just reading the body and the aggressiveness of a hitter at this time of the year to determine how you want to attack them. I felt like any guy in the postseason that wanted to be the hero at the plate or aggressive, I was going to be successful 100% of the time. But if he was more towards like, I'll take my walk and patient, then it was a battle. But that's what you're trying to figure out in the postseason. You want guys aggressive. You want each guy standing in the plate wanting to hit a homer or trying to be the hero for their team and let the moment get too big.
I talked to Dave Roberts about this. I said, do you rely on the home run too much? And he said, no, we rely on it a lot, but we did walk 27 times in the National League Divisional Series. I looked at the Yankees, and I thought that they were built for the regular season, not the postseason. And you know this better than anybody. Being able to come up with that big hit or just something small, moving a runner over, getting a runner in from third, it just didn't feel like the Yankees were built that way. We see a lot of teams that are like this, though, John. So I wonder where there is a place for that in baseball and how important. And I feel like there's something going to happen in this postseason, whether it's the championship series or the World Series, where something small will decide who wins it all. I really believe that. And we get caught up in strikeouts and home runs, and it still feels like there's nuance here that some of these teams don't factor in. Your thoughts on that?
Absolutely. No, absolutely. And I've gone back 10 years. I mean, eventually, if everyone starts playing closer to the same type of baseball, someone's going to win the World Series leading the league in the home runs, but it rarely happens. I mean, you got to go back forever that you got teams that lead the league in home runs and are up there in strikeouts. It just doesn't bode well for a championship run. But if you do take your walks and you get on base and you put pressure on the pitchers, you have a better chance. Look, last year was a great example of the Houston Astros getting those strikeouts, making the contact, doing the little things. That's what allows them to win the World Series. Now, what's going to always stand out is the big home runs, Springer's home runs.
Yeah.
Home runs still reign king in our game from a standpoint of instant runs, and they're just harder, or typically they were harder to come by in the postseason because you're facing elite pitchers. But when every guy in the lineup now, or the potential of guys hitting home runs are in the lineups, you're going to run into more of those, so that's going to still stick out. But I still totally agree with you that the team with the least amount of selfish at-bats, and I'm talking about a selfish at-bat to me is defined as run around third, less than 2 outs, and you're still trying to hit a home run. When the infield's back and all you got to do is hit a ground ball to get the game closer or tie it up, those are the things that if you still have too many of those selfish at-bats in your club, you're going to have to be so much better than the other team to win, because you're just not putting yourself in the best situation. So I totally agree with that statement. And as time goes on, we'll see if a team can defy that on a year where they win it all and they led the postseason in strikeouts, and they led the postseason, and it's going to come down to that, and that's what I'm always looking for, to see which player is able to do that, or which team's able to do that better.
Good to talk to you, John. Have fun tonight, and we'll catch up with you soon. Thank you.
You got it, Dan.
That's John Smoltz, Hall of Famer, and working for Fox as their baseball analyst in the postseason. Coverage tonight, 7 Eastern on Fox Sports 1. And then the game at 8 o'clock on Fox Sports 1. Joe Buck, John Smoltz, Kenny Rosenthal, Tom Verducci. And then game 2 will be Saturday afternoon at 4 on Fox.
For more Dan Patrick Show, tune to Audience Channel 239 on DirecTV or download the Dan Patrick Show app.